Unified School District, they're continuing their mask mandate. And he said that that's crate training for children. I'm going to put that in quotes, crate training. You know, he just loves to spread conspiracy theories. He's doing the one that President Biden's in mental decline and that VP Kamala Harris is the worst person I've ever heard speaking into a microphone. She is only VP because of affirmative action.
Oh, for God's sakes.
I'm like, he's such a fucking asshole.
He hates women.
He does. Speaking of, women aren't funny.
Yes, go for it.
That's one of his things. Like Jerry Lewis, women aren't funny. So an interviewer asked him once, do you hate working with women? And he said, no, but they make you hire a certain number of chicks. He said chicks. Mm-hmm. They make you hire a certain number of chicks, and they're always the least funny on the writing staff. The reason you know more funny dudes than funny chicks is that dudes are funnier than chicks. If my daughter has a mediocre sense of humor, I'm just going to tell her, you should be a staff writer for a sitcom because they have to hire you and they can't fire you. It'll be awesome.
Oh my God. If you look at all, by the way, the top shows now, written and directed and produced by women.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso, written by Black women, by the way.
Yeah. Let's all take career advice from Adam Carolla and his shitty poor man's Joe Rogan podcast. Like, fuck this guy. I'll just wrap it up here with, like, he does live shows sometimes, and one of the people he does live shows with is, here's another name I'm gonna fuck up, Milo Yiannopoulos.
He's a fucking Nazi, so fuck him.
Yeah, seriously, fuck him. He has Donald Trump Jr. on the show all the time, and Ben Shapiro. And if you think, well, having them on the show isn't creepy, you're wrong. When you give creeps a platform unchecked, you're a fucking creep.
Yeah, you're not putting a light on it. You're letting them out. You're letting the words out.
And Bill Maher does this shit all the time. He has fucking Milo and Ann Coulter. Yeah. All the time.
They laugh at his stupid joke, so he lets them talk and talk and talk.
Yes. And then he doesn't check them. He doesn't correct them. And I'm like, Bill Maher's a fucking creep. We did an episode on Bill Maher.
Yes, we did.
And I think I tweeted out like once a week. I go, here's your weekly reminder that Bill Maher is a fucking creep. The liberals don't love him. We hate him. Y'all can have him.
Yes.
And take Adam Carolla with you. So that's our creeps, Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew.
Great job, Sonia. I want to tell you, I used to listen to Adam's podcast because I was one of the first people to listen to I listened to podcasts like over 10 years ago. That was new.
Yeah.
And he had funny people on from time to time, but he's got a very monotone voice and he repeats himself all the time. All the time. He says something over and over again. And one of the things he used to say over and over again, and finally he's like, I love it when these women who say that they're rape survivors or cancer survivors, they won't call themselves victims. I just think that's like hilarious. Like, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. He's going after people who've been raped and people who've had cancer.
What the fuck?
and shitting on the words they use to describe their journey, which, by the way, if they're alive, they survived it. Asshole. Yeah.
He's such an asshole. Like,
such a shit.
First, why do you fucking care what they call themselves? How does that impact your life at all? It doesn't. He just wants to shit on them.
He wants to shit on things, and then that just makes him edgy. And it makes him
he's so edgy
because he's just spitting out shit from his head.
I'm just asking questions. Fuck you.
Oh, he doesn't ask questions. He just says like he knows everything. He's very condescending.
I hate him.
And he's just a real piece of trash. And if you follow him on Twitter, I mean, he's just the worst.
No, he's the worst. And the idea that he would be like, women aren't funny. It's like, really? Because all these women seem to be doing really well, and you're fucking doing Dancing with the Stars and fucking Celebrity Apprentice and shit. Like,
yeah, well, he loves Trump.
Don't take your advice from Adam Carolla. Or Dr. Drew, to be honest. Yeah. Don't take your advice from Dr. Drew.
He used to talk when he was on Dancing with the Stars. He did like these comedy segments, and I'm doing that in air quotes.
Yeah.
And my parents watched Dancing with the Stars, and they would be like, who's this guy? He's so unfunny. He slows everything down. I'm like, Adam Carolla sucks. He would complain about the gig because they never used his really great ideas. And I'm like, oh, for fuck. So he would describe his really great idea, which was stupid. And just, it's just like,
he sucks.
He's a sucky man baby. Okay.
Yes. Yes, that's a perfect way to describe him. He's a sucky man baby.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about somebody who's not a sucky man baby?
Please, I can't wait.
I had a few ideas, but I'm going to stick with this one because this is a book I just read this week. It's an entertainer, and her name is Sarah Polley. She's born... Love her. She's an actor, writer, director, producer, and she's a political activist. She was born January 8th, 1979. She was born in Toronto. She lives in Toronto with her husband and her 3 kids. She grew up in an family acting environment. She started in Ramona, in a TV series, Ramona. And then she moved on to Road to Avonlea. That was like a big starring role for her. Her mother died when she was 11 or 12 years old. And the producers on the show used that as experience for her to have her character's mother die and then act on camera about being sad about her mother dying out. So she was in The Sweet Hereafter, The Weight of Water, My Life Without Me, Dawn of the Dead, 2004, Go, we were talking about.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of movies, and she was considered like the Princess of Canada. She did all these independent films. And a few years ago, when Harvey Weinstein was being talked about in the media, she did an op-ed piece for the New York Times, one thing you can read without wanting to poke your fucking eyes out with your thumbs. Today, the Times is talking about free speech, and boy, they're really worried about it.
Oh, fuck you. New York Times. I need to cancel my subscription to the New York Times.
Or just, I can't. Yeah.
By the way, they make it really hard to cancel your subscription too.
Her first documentary film was Stories We Tell. It was about her mother, like I said, who passed away when she was young. She wrote Alias Grace, which is based on the Margaret Atwood novels. She wrote to Margaret Atwood when she was 17 and said, I'd like to write and produce this series. And Atwood said, maybe wait a few years and then see if you want to do it. 20 years later, she did.
That's amazing.
She's amazing. But anyway, when this op-ed piece, she talked about being in show business and that being a woman on a TV set, movie set in the 90s, 80s and 90s when she started, you're the only woman. There's just men everywhere. And how you're just treated like crap. And it's the guys have their guy humor. And if there's any woman on the set, they treat her like she's a sex object or, it's just a very depressing thing that she had an experience where she was taken to lunch with Harvey Weinstein, and then she was going there with her publicist, and then they said, oh, they want to move it to his hotel room. And so her publicist said, I'm going to stay right by your side. Don't worry.
That you even have to do that is...
Yeah. And he basically was sort of explaining to her, like, these are all the films I want to do with Miramax. I'd like for you to come on board. What are you willing to do for your career? With this publicist there.
Gross.
Just trying to see how ambitious she is. And women, if you say no, you're a bitch. If you say yes, you're an asshole. I mean, it's like all these things.
Yeah.
But she was just talking about, like, he's just one person of many. She could have had an awesome movie career because she's super talented. And she's like, fuck this. I'm going to make my own movies.
Good for her.
When she was a teenager, we talked about Jian Ghomeshi. He was a Canadian broadcaster accused of sexual assault and abuse by many, many, many women. And when his trial was happening, people were saying, where's Sarah Polley? Because she used to be friends with him. Didn't she have a thing with him? And she had an incident with him when she was 16 and he was 28, where they were having sex and then he got violent and she basically kind of ran out of the apartment as fast as she could. And this was a guy, she liked his band. He was in Moxie Fruzis. I told you that. He was in a band before he did this. She was a fan of his, like, for years. He knew her since she was 12. And he did this to her. And people asked, why didn't she go to the police? And she explains why she didn't go to the police at the time. And then they said, when he was on trial, why didn't you go to the police? And she just said, everybody advised her not to because, and it turned out to be all the women were treated like garbage. By the judge, too, by the way, not just by his attorney, which I expect. They're just being a defense attorney. I mean, that's shitty.
Yeah, by the way, the sweet, sweet rape fame that everyone thinks women want, they don't want.
They don't want it. No. And she didn't, and she was the mother of like 2 very small kids at the time.
Yeah.
And anyway, one of her, the book is called Run Towards the Danger. What happened was that like 10 or 15 years ago.
Gosh, that's a really good title, by the way.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. She was cleaning something in her house in the closet, and a very heavy fire extinguisher fell on her head.
Oh my gosh.
It gave her a concussion. And she had a head injury, and it completely changed her life. She all of a sudden was very sensitive to sound and light. She couldn't multitask. She couldn't like go to concerts or go to anything. And she had 2 kids at the time. Kids are noisy. Kids.
They're so loud.
They're so fucking loud. That's all they are.
Yeah.
And it changed her life and her career. And she went to all these different specialists. And finally she went to one who said, from now on, face everything. If it's loud and it's going to like make you upset, do it anyway, because you'll just have to train your brain again. And so running towards the danger for her is like going to situations that she knew was going to probably even make her sick. But eventually now she's much better. She can do things. She can multitask.
Yeah.
All these things. She's directing again, which is awesome. And
so good.
So these essays are all about running towards the danger. And the danger for her in this essay was about talking about Gian, what happened to her and why she didn't, and then her regrets about it. And it's so eloquent. But she also talks about many things. She's a fantastic writer. Like I said, she wrote Alias Grace. She's just so talented. So that's our not creep this week, Sarah Polley.
Such a good pick.
Follow her.
Such a good pick. Yeah.
Follow her.
Yeah. I'm writing it down.
Yeah. She's on Instagram. I think it's at Sarah. It's Sarah with an H, Polley, Polley. I think it's I am Sarah Polley on Instagram, but follow her, watch her films, support her work. She's really, really amazing. She's very political. She used to go to a lot of protests and things like that before she had the head injury. But she's just really cool. She takes her
Yeah,
pain,
let's move.
Promote somebody awesome.
Yes. And let's move Go up the list. We'll do that one soon.
Yes, we need to do Go for dorking out. So if you like the sound of our voices, let's make that segue.
Ooh.
We co-host a show called Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. And Sonia, what are we talking about next?
We still have Brendan Fraser on the brain. So we're going to talk about The Mummy, which I have always really enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to that rewatch. It's going to be really fun.
Too. I'm so freaking excited. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Follow us on all the social medias if you have ideas for creeps and non-creeps. We love it when you use the Annie Potts gift. We got one from Ghostbusters, or just pick something for yourselves, or just send it in an email. That's cool. whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you could leave us a few stars and a nice review in iTunes, or Spotify now takes ratings.
Yes.
So if you listen to us on Spotify, if you wouldn't mind doing that. If you want to join Patreon, we do put out bonus episodes. And but if you can't afford it, just send us an email. We'll send you some stickers in the mail. Put it on your laptop, go to the coffee shop, or just tell a friend about the show. That's how a lot of people find us.
It's true.
All of our
we get a lot of referrals.
Yes.
We love our cohort. So good.
Yes. People find you.
You can find me at thesoniashow.com on Twitter and Instagram. My website is thesoniashow.com. I already said that. I'm also on TikTok. Where can people find you, Margot?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fitchick, really for Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to delete that Facebook page. Sorry if you checked me out there. I haven't put anything there in years, literally. I also have a site. It's brooklynfitchick.com, and I am on the TikTok at my name, Margot Donahue. I post a lot about my cats there, just so you know. But I have the cutest cats in Brooklyn.
It's true.
Natural fact.
It is actual fact. It's not even up for debate.
Nope. In the meantime, everybody, be safe, be good. Don't be a creep.
Creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.